Ladies and gentlemen, with 2 hours and counting down to Super Bowl 59, Eagles, Chiefs, second round. Little NFL Films music is back, the battle. Let's let that roll a little bit. And I am here at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge with the back on this. Mr. Goose is finally letting me take over these. All right. I'll be here at Sports Over 6. We're going to the words for the surrounding area. Come down. Enjoy a fine cigar, bring your own beverage. But again, the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl 59. Minus 1 hour. Thanks for joining us going live. Thanks as always for tuning in. This is Endzone. This is my preview edition. We'll delve into it a little bit more. Break it down for you. In the NFL news today, it looks like the New York Jets are going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers flew to New Jersey last week to meet with new coach Aaron Glenn and new general manager Darren Mugu. Fox Sports reported Sunday that Rodgers was informed in the meeting that the team has decided to part ways with him. No shock. It's been a disaster as far as I'm concerned. He has 1 year remaining on his contract, a non-guaranteed $37.5 million. He was due count $23.5 million on the cap. The Jets will be left with $49 million in dead money, which can be spread over 2 years if he's designated a post-June 1st cut. In that case, they would have to carry his $28.5 million on the cap until June 1st. At that point, he'd count $14 million in 225, a net savings of $9.5 million. However, in the June 1st scenario, there would be $35 million charge in 2026. If he opts for retirement, the same accounting applies. So it looks like the Jets have decided to move on for Mr. Aaron Rodgers. It'll be interesting to see what the Rams do, if they're going to trade Matthew Stafford. Just remember, Aaron Rodgers is a Southern California boy. So I have a feeling if the Rams were to trade Stafford, I wouldn't put it past Sean McVay and the Rams to go after Rodgers on a 1 year deal. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But you think about teams that could use a quarterback as an upgrade. Again, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he can get around as much as he used to. He is not fleet of foot, as you would say. I mean, we could go back division. The AFC East, the Jets, that experiment failed. Buffalo doesn't need a quarterback. Miami doesn't need a quarterback. New England doesn't need a quarterback. Look at the AFC North, Central, whatever the hell they call it. Browns, it's not going to happen. Cincinnati's not going to happen. Some people think it's Pittsburgh. I still think You sign Justin Fields to a 1-year deal and see what you have with Fields. I don't think he's going to go to Pittsburgh. Baltimore has their quarterback, obviously. AFC South, Tennessee. Does anybody really think Tennessee is close to doing anything? No. Houston has their quarterback. Would he go to Indianapolis? Don't know. Jacksonville obviously has their quarterback. In the AFC West, he's not going to Denver. He's not going to go to Kansas City. Raiders? Possibly. Chargers? No. NFC East? Giants? He's not going to go back to New York. He's not going to go back to that stadium. Philly, no. Washington, no. Dallas, no. NFC North, depends what happens in Minnesota. Are they going to sign Darnold? Are they going to let Darnold walk? Turn to McCarthy as the future? I don't know. Detroit doesn't need a quarterback. Chicago doesn't need a quarterback. NFC South, Tampa Bay doesn't need a quarterback. New Orleans, no. Carolina, no. He'll want to go to a contender. San Francisco, if they decide not to pay Purdy, you never know. That hand that you saw come across the screen there, that is the Goose. That's Mr. Goose.
Yeah.
He's over here.
Sorry about that. I was very impolite of me.
He's over this way.
Over this way?
There he is.
Hey, how you doing, guys and gals?
Come on down.
Come on down. If you smoke, we got a smoking lounge.
Smoke him if you got him. So, again, Rodgers doesn't want to go. He will not want to go somewhere. It's a reclamation project. So we will have to keep an eye on where he lands. In other NFL news, before we get to said Super Bowl, Randy Moss came back to NFL Countdown after his battle with cancer. He is in remission. Good to see him back. No matter what happens, the Eagles win or lose, Kellen Moore will be your Saints' next head coach. As reported, there will be, barring any new developments, looks like Kellen Moore will leave Philadelphia for the Saints. Of course, when you have a successful organization, a successful program, coordinator-wise, they are probably going to bolt. That is just the product of the NFL. It's the product of anywhere. So it looks like Kellen Moore will be on his way to New Orleans. New Orleans is a reclamation project. What are they going to do with Mr. Carr at quarterback? Could New Orleans be a destination for Aaron Rodgers? We'll see. The Buffalo Bills have fired special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley. Why do you wait 2 weeks? Doesn't make any sense. So a little bit of a downer for him. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl, he leads odds-wise to be the Super Bowl MVP. A lot of people betting on Saquon Barkley to be the MVP. If the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl, Nick Sirianni is in the realm of getting a huge payday. He could get anywhere from $10 to $13 million per season if he wins the Super Bowl. He's 48-20 in the regular season over his 4 years with the team. They are not going to get rid of Sirianni if he wins or loses. And of course, Mr. Graham for the Eagles, he has been activated off the IR. He will be playing in the Super Bowl. Brandon Graham, we'll see how much the Eagles use him in certain situations. So let us get to the Super Bowl. How did we get here? Well, the Eagles are 14-3 overall in the regular season. They beat the Packers week 1, lost to the Falcons week 2. They beat the Saints week 3. They lost to the Buccaneers week 4. They beat the Browns week 5, and then they went on their winning streak. Beat the Browns, they beat the Giants, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Jags, they beat the Cowboys, they beat the Commanders, they beat the Rams, they beat the Ravens, they beat the Panthers, albeit some of the games were close. And then they beat the Steelers, and then they lost to the Commanders. Obviously, that was one of the games that Hurts was out. Then they beat the Cowboys and they beat the Giants to end the regular season. In the playoffs, beat the Packers. I wouldn't say handily, but they beat them. They beat the Rams, which was close, too close for comfort for Eagles fans. And then, of course, the debacle for the Commanders, and the Eagles beat the Commanders 55-23 in the NFC Championship game. How did the Chiefs get here? Well, Chiefs wound up the regular season 15-2. They opened on that win streak to start the season undefeated. They beat the Ravens in week 1. They beat the Bengals week 2, close game. Falcons week 3, Chargers week 4, Saints week 5, 49ers week 6, Raiders week 7, Buccaneers week 8, and the Broncos week 9. And of course, they lose to the Bills week 10. Struggled with the Panthers in week 11. Struggled with the Raiders and the Chargers back to back. Beat the Browns, which was less than impressive. They beat the Texans, they beat the Steelers, and then they sat all their starters in that week 17 pasting at the hands of the Broncos 38-0. Beat the Texans in the first round, and they held off the Bills in the second round. And that is where we wind up with the Eagles Chiefs in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years. And look, when you break down this game, can the Chiefs defense stop Saquon Barkley? That is going to be a major issue. The Bills had great success against the Chiefs running the football, and then they got away from it for some odd reason. I don't know why. Eagles have had their close games. Chiefs have had their close games. The Eagles are not going to do anything differently. They're going to pound the rock, wear you down defensively until you submit. Both defenses statistically right next to one another. The only statistic that the Eagles outshine the Chiefs are in the turnover margin. Chiefs, I believe, are +6. The Eagles are +17. But when you look at the Chiefs' schedule for the last 2 months, and I've been saying this, they cannot run the football. They can't. They have been relying on their short passing game, which substitutes for the running game. Throw a quick 5-yard out pattern. If it gains 6 or 7 yards, there's your run. Yeah, you can't keep doing that. Eventually, it's going to come back to bite you. But I can go all the way back. You go back to the Chargers game late in the season. If you go to the team stats in that game, it was one of the few games that the Chiefs outrushed their opponent, but they only outrushed them by 2 yards. The Chiefs ran it 25 times for 96 yards, less than stellar. And again, and then you look at some of the other games like late in the season, they played the Texans late in the season. And we can go to the team stats on that game. Unfortunately, Joe Mixon was hurt for the Texans, I believe, in that game. The Chiefs did outrush the Texans 124-84. That was one of the few games. The Chiefs ran it 28 times for 124 yards. But again, the Chiefs won. They won the turnover battle. Joe Mixon was hurt for the Texans. You look at the Steelers game that they played late in the season. Steelers outrushed the Chiefs 202 to 69. Chiefs ran it 20 times for 69 yards. It's pathetic. Again, the Chiefs won the turnover battle. Chiefs were able to pull away with the turnovers. And then their final season of the game, or the final game of the season for our English-speaking friends, they played the Broncos, but that doesn't count. But we can go, let's look at the Chiefs' schedule from a whole. First week of the season, they got outrushed by the Ravens 182 to 72. Go to week 2 when they played the Bengals. The Chiefs actually outrushed the Bengals that game 149 to 74. Chiefs turned it over 3 times. That's what kept the Bengals in it. Okay, so there's one of the few instances where the Chiefs outrushed their opponent. We go to week 3 against the Falcons. Chiefs outrushed the Falcons 128 to 82. One of the few instances that they outrushed their opponent. Week 4 against the Chargers. The Chargers' backfield was banged up that game. Chiefs outrushed the Chargers 101 to 55, but 2 turnovers by the Chiefs kept the Chargers in that particular football game. Then they played the Saints in week 5. Remember, Alvin Kamara was hurt for the Saints. The Chiefs outrushed the Saints 139-46. You see a theme here. In the beginning of the season, the Chiefs had success running the football. They were outrushing that's why they had their 8-game win streak, 9-game win streak. When they played the 49ers, that would have been week 6. Chiefs outrushed the 49ers 184 to 101. If you remember, Christian McCaffrey was hurt. He wasn't back yet. Again, during the win streak that the Chiefs had at the beginning of the season, they were running the ball effectively. That's what propelled them to their win streak. Then they played the Raiders. They outrushed the Raiders 82 to 33, but let's face it, the Raiders' backfield sucks out loud. They're in the upper echelon of the succosphere. Again, Chiefs outrushing their opponent. But let's get to the back end of the season. When they lost to the Bills, and the Bills entered their win streak, the Bills outrushed the Chiefs 104 to 78. Bills ran it 31 times. Chiefs only ran it 17. Hence the loss. When they played the Panthers, and they should have lost to the Panthers, they outrushed the Panthers 165 to 85, and they needed it because Carolina was in that game. And let's face it, Carolina is not a stellar team. Period. Who is next on the ticket here? Give me just a second. They played the Raiders on the back end of the season. Raiders outrushed them 116-63. The Chiefs only ran it 16 times. Horrible. And the Chiefs were fortunate enough to win that game. And they played the Chargers back end of the season. And again, we already went through that the Chiefs, again, only outrushed the Chargers by 2. So again, back end of the season, Chiefs running game suffered. You know what you're going to get passing wise. They were just talking about it on the TV over here that the Eagles play in zone defense. So we'll see what happens. You know, the Eagles aren't going to respect the Chiefs running game because they can't run a football. If the Eagles are able to establish the run game early, it might be all she wrote for Kansas City. And again, Philadelphia's bread and butter all year has been running the football. Nobody's been able to stop it, really. Steelers did a little bit. They played the Packers in the first game of the season. That was in Brazil. Packers actually won the rushing stats that day. But the Eagles still won the game even after turning the ball over 3 times. When they lost to the Falcons in week 2, they outrushed the Falcons 186-152. Unfortunately, the Eagles had the one turnover in that game that sort of killed them. But they still outrushed their opponent. You go to week 3 when they played the Saints. Close game. The Eagles were still trying to find themselves. They outrushed the Saints 172-89. Again, run the football, stop the run. We go to week 4 when they lost to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers just seem to have the Eagles number for some odd reason. The Buccaneers were lackadaisical in that game. They only outrushed the Bucs by 2, but they only ran the ball 20 times. Fortunately, the Eagles turned it over twice. Buccaneers took advantage, and everybody was like ready to jump all over Sirianni, jump all over this team. Then they went on their win streak. They beat the Browns. Philly outrushed Cleveland 116-100. Philly ran the ball 36 times for 116 yards. Ball control. Again, run the ball, stop the run. I know it's a passing league. But when you get to December and January in the Super Bowl, if you can't run the football, you're not going anywhere. Then the Eagles played the Giants. Eagles outrushed the Giants 269-76. Eagles ran the ball 45 damn times. Again, run the ball, stop the run. Then they beat the hell out of the Bengals. Everybody thought that the Bengals were going to win that football game. Eagles ran the ball for 161 yards. The Bengals 58. And the Eagles won a turnover battle. Hence the wide margin of victory. Then they played a close game against the Jaguars. Jaguars had Philly on the ropes a little bit. Eagles ran the ball for 237 yards. Jacksonville 60. Again, you see a theme here. And they turned Jacksonville over 3 times. It's not rocket science for the Eagles. The Eagles are not going to get away from their game plan. They're just not. You know, you go to their playoff games. They outrushed the Packers in the wild card round 169 and 107. Eagles ran it 34 times for 169 yards. And they turned Green Bay over 4 times. Run the ball, stop the run, turn the other team over. You're going to win football games, ladies and gentlemen. Then they played the Rams, which the Rams played them tough. The Rams had a chance at the end. Eagles ran it 34 times for 285 yards. Didn't turn it over. Held the Rams to 111 yards. Turned the Rams over twice to none. Again, Eagles taking care of the football. And then the Commanders game, which wasn't even a game. Commanders actually should give their fans back money. Philadelphia, 229 yards rushing. Commanders, 99. And they turned the Commanders over 4 times. So, it's not rocket science. Some of the matchups you might want to take heed of. How's Philadelphia's secondary going to hold up? Kansas City, again, can't run a football. Philadelphia is not going to respect it. They're not. They're going to play their base defense. They're going to play their base zone defense. They're going to dare Kansas City to run a football against them. You are not going to beat us passing the football. Philadelphia's defensive game plan will be, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us running the football. Because you're not going to beat us throwing the football. Kansas City, on the flip side, defensively, I think they're going to stock many people in the box. You're not going to beat us running the football. Jalen, you're going to have to beat us with your own. So, just watching some of the coverage over here on the screen. I'm going to light up my cigar. Working 7 different schools over 14 years for me to find in 79, the Oklahoma State University Cowboys. Yeah, Cowboys. And again, if you're in the area here in Limerick, Royersford, the surrounding area, stop up at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist. Many varieties of cigars to choose from. We are back here in the cigar lounge. Goose has been kind enough to let me do another podcast here. It's relaxed, it's chill. People are going to be watching the Super Bowl on the big screen TV over here. So come on down. Many specials on cigars. I always stick to my Asylum. This thing is thick, it's fat, it's a ball bat. As Goose just said. So let me bring him on the screen here. If I can turn the laptop around a little bit.
Ryan, thanks for coming.
Yeah, there he is.
Thanks for coming. Oh, nice background here. Look at it.
Yeah. Me on the Chiefs side, him on the Eagles side.
Yeah.
How are you? I don't know if you watch. Do you watch football?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
What are you thinking about this game? Me as a Chiefs fan, my heart's with the Chiefs, but I'm also a realist.
Yeah.
I have to analyze the game. I just think the Philadelphia Eagles are a better football team.
Well, I liked your recap of the season. I think the Eagles are on a running tear. You know, when I grew up with Penn State, I didn't go to Penn State, but with Joe Paterno, it was like 3 to 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
You know, Penn State relied on the running game. It was, very rarely did they throw the ball actually. So it's a case where Barkley he's on fire. That offensive line is blowing them away, knocking them back, and Barkley is taking advantage of it. It's but like you said, if they're smart, they'll pack the box. They'll pack the box and they'll stop him, and the force hurts to throw the ball.
Yeah,
but he's got some pretty good weapons there too. Brown and what's the other guy?
Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
you have Dallas Goedert, and again, it's pick your poison.
Yeah.
Nobody's really going to be able to slow down Barkley all year long.
Yeah.
Now you have a 2-week layoff. Everybody's rested. I know Philadelphia, they had the whatever bug was going around. Reports came out, though, that a lot of the players are feeling a lot better. There are people who want to see history. They want to see a three-peat in the Super Bowl era because nobody's done it.
Yeah.
But, I've said this on other shows this week. If there's nothing more demoralizing for a defense when the opposing offense puts together 13, 14 play drives for 80 yards and they run it down your throat and they shove it down your throat and they know that you can't stop it.
Yeah.
So we will, again, if Kansas City cannot stop, if they can't slow him down somewhat, it's going to be a long game for Kansas City.
I heard a stat where I don't know if it's true or not, Ryan. The offensive line for the Eagles, the average size and weight is 6'6", 330.
Mm-hmm.
Holy mackerel! I mean that's
like
having an aircraft carrier.
It remind me of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line in the early 90s where they were like 6'5", 6'6". They went 335, 340. And again, nobody could stop them. So, and it just reminds me, this Philly team, the offensive line reminds me of those offensive lines back then. And again, Philadelphia is not going to get away from their game plan. They are going to stick to the run. They're not going to get away from it. And, your best defense is your offense, because if you could put together sustained drives like that, keep number 15 for the Chiefs on the sideline, limit his opportunities, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I know it's passing league, and it's been like the last 10 years. But when you get into December and you get into January and when you get to the Super Bowl, if you can't run the ball consistently, effectively, you're not going to go far.
Yeah, I agree. It's you eat up the clock with the running game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Barkley does. We should again send the Giants a big thank you card. My sister's from New York.
Okay, yeah. How'd that work out for you, New York Giants?
Yeah,
you let Barkley walk. You kept Danny Dimes, who no longer the quarterback of the Giants. So, I mean, Barkley behind that great offensive line. If the Giants would have had offensive lines like this, maybe a different story. But we'll, but the last time the Eagles played a Super Bowl in New Orleans was the 1980-81 season. And the Oakland Raiders, everybody will remember it. Yeah. The Eagles were favored heavy in that game.
Yeah.
And Oakland took them apart. The last time Kansas City played a Super Bowl in New Orleans was way back in the Stone Ages. It was Super Bowl IV, and Kansas City beat Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, but this is all completely different beast.
Oh, yeah.
NFL, may I make a suggestion? Stop having indoor Super Bowls. I don't like it. Football is meant to be played outdoors. You can play the Super Bowl in Jacksonville, in Miami, in Tampa Bay. You can have it out in Southern California. But just stop having Super Bowls indoors because it takes away from the pleasure of the game. So, hey, why don't you tell them about some of the specials here?
The specials, we got Romeo y Julieta for the whole month of February. The love cigar, I call it. It's fits Valentine's Day. And we got buy 4 sticks, get the 5th one free, and you get 10% off any boxes. We had a lot of action on that already today.
Yeah.
So, we usually during Super Bowl, a lot of people have their own parties in their own houses, and so we don't get that big of a crowd, but we usually get about between 10 and 20 people that enjoy the game, and it's a good thing. If you smoke a cigar, we allow cigarette smoking here. Most cigar lounges don't. So we allow hookah. As long as it's legal, Ryan, we allow it.
Okay.
So
BYOB, right?
BYOB. You're not going to sit down and get a $20 drink. You got and it's a big, as Ryan can attest, it's a big, beautiful lounge.
Yes.
with a championship size pool table in the back.
Yep.
A 9-foot pool table. We got Philly skill games here. If you would like to play the Philly skill games, you can play it here. But I want to ask you, Ryan, if Barkley coming to Philly,
Mm-hmm.
it pleased a lot of Penn State fans. I mean, he's a Penn State guy, Penn State player. But in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, I got to think that Barkley is already on his way to becoming the best running back ever. Am I wrong in saying that? Who's been some of the
I mean,
shady?
You go back to Wilbert Montgomery. I'm trying to think who else. Obviously, Deuce Staley was a favorite.
Yeah.
But, if the Eagles can keep him for a 4 or 5 year stretch, I mean, he's only 27, I believe. So he's in the prime of his career. If he can stay healthy, that's the one thing the Eagles fans were hoping on, was for him staying. Because when he was with the Giants, he was injury prone. But that's the product of the bad offensive line. But hey, if they can keep the offensive line intact, and he can run behind that offensive line the next 2-3 years, it'll be interesting to see what he does. He's already rushed for over 2,000 yards in the regular season, which pissed a lot of Eagles fans off, that they would have liked to seen him break the record of Eric Dickerson. But, and not only did Barkley go to Penn State, but he's a Lehigh Valley product. He went to Whitehall High School.
Oh, did he? I didn't
up
know
in
that.
Allentown.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Famously, Matt Millen also went to Whitehall High School in Allentown. So some good football players have come out of the Lehigh Valley. Concrete Charlie, he was a Bethlehem Catholic product, Bethlehem, PA. So a hometown boy, homegrown, from Philly up to Allentown. For his hometown, it's probably only an hour, if that. So it'd be nice for Eagles fans to see a hometown kid that went to high school in the Lehigh Valley and went to Penn State and came to Philly. I think it would be fantastic for Eagles fans if that could happen.
Now I'll ask a stupid question. He broke the single season record for an Eagles for a running back. Did he blow it out of the water, or did he?
He eclipsed it by a good margin, by a decent margin. And I think Shady ran for something like 1,800 and some.
Okay.
When he had his best season, and Barkley surpassed it. And again, it'll be interesting to see if they keep that offensive line intact. Because anytime you make the Super Bowl, obviously the offense coordinator Kellen Moore, they're losing him to the Saints.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of other offensive coordinator they bring in. But look, the formula is simple in Philadelphia. You run the football, you pound the rock. Eagles fans, again, knock on wood, this Super Bowl, that they don't try one of those dumbass RPOs and Hurts comes around the corner and gets leveled and suffers a concussion again. You don't want that to happen. We want to see a clean game. We want to see no turnovers, minute penalties. But again, when it boils down to it, Goose, I'm a fan. I'm a Kansas City fan. But watching football all year long, I'm a realist.
Yeah.
Kansas City on paper has the better team. Now, Kansas City's won close all year long. Philly's had a mix of close games and blowouts. If it comes down to a close game, I think that would make an Eagles fan nervous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just from the simple fact that Kansas City has won on block field goals this year. They've won on last-second plays. They've won on last-second field goals. I think the Philadelphia fans would like a comfortable win, because if it comes down to the fourth quarter and it's close,
it'll make a lot of people nervous.
Put my money on Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be close. I'm one of the guys that are in the minority.
Yeah.
I picked the Eagles to win 31-17. I just think that too much Barkley is going to be the difference. And again, whoever wins the rushing battle and whoever wins the turnover margin is going to win this football game.
Now, does any other team in the NFL do that push thing, or
Buffalo tried against Kansas City,
did they?
and Kansas City stopped them like 2 out of 6 times.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, people are starting to file in here at Goose's.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got to run. But,
yeah.
You're always invited here, my friend.
Thank
we
you,
should
sir.
start a regular
Yeah.
schedule where you come here and
maybe every other weekend or something.
we have a big poker tournament
Okay.
coming up on Thursday, February 20th.
Okay.
It's it starts at 6:00, and it's going to raise money for the Knights of Columbus. It's a Monte Cristo poker tournament.
Oh, okay.
And you can call here to reserve your seat, or go online and contact us through the online. But I'm a big Knights of Columbus guy, and we're going to have raffle stuff that when you buy raffle tickets, that money will go towards Knights of Columbus charities.
Nice.
So we've averaged between 15 and 20 players for all our hence you're sitting at a poker table.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't play poker. I the most I ever learned was go fish.
Go fish.
And, 21. But yeah. There's a lot of good Texas Hold'em poker players that show up for these things.
I'm sure there is.
And we have a first, second, and third prizes, which are nice cigar prizes. We follow all the rules.
Okay.
We don't give money away as prizes. We give cigars.
Okay.
And accessories.
Awesome.
It's always a pleasure to see
you.
Man. See you, my brother. I got to go out
too.
there. We were having a great day out front. Come on in, and we got those great Romeo deals. We love you, baby. We love you. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Goose.
Go Birds.
Again, come on down here if you're local. I won't go into specific details, but 2-3 years ago, this man helped me out when I was in a bind. He's a kind soul. He's a gentle giant. Goose probably stands about what? What do you stand about 6? He probably stands about 6'3", 6'4". Just a gentle giant, really good human being. But getting back to the game, if you're watching live, send in your comments. I've thrown up the link. If you want to hop on here as a guest, you can do it. Ask away. Ask the questions. So again, we were going through the seasons for both teams. And again, I was talking about Philadelphia had a mix all year. They've had close games. They've blown teams out. Kansas City really hasn't blown anybody out this year. And people have tried to argue with me about Kansas City winning this particular game. I don't see it. I just don't. When you watch as much football as I do on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, anybody can attest to it. When football's season comes around, you don't see me Saturday and you don't see me Sunday. And if you try to get a hold of me on Saturday and Sunday, good luck, because you have a better chance of seeing Jesus than seeing me on Saturday and Sunday during football season. You can ask my sister, you can ask my brother-in-law, you can ask all my friends. I eat, breathe, and live Saturday college football, and obviously the NFL all weekend long. So again, if I had to pick a particular unit that is going to have to win this game tonight for the Chiefs, it has to be the defense. They have to be able to slow Philadelphia's running game down somewhat and try and force Hurts to beat you throwing the football. Flip side, as I've said before, Philadelphia is not going to respect Kansas City's running game because they don't have one. They spread the ball around. That little 2-yard out pass that gains 5 yards, that's their running play. And Philadelphia is going to sit back in their base defense. And Philadelphia is going to be, we're not going to let you beat us throwing the football. You are going to have to try and beat us running the football. So something has to give at some point. Philadelphia has been fantastic this postseason at taking care of the football. Kansas City's sort of been lackluster in that area. So Philly running the ball, control the line of scrimmage. They're going to shove it down Kansas City's throat. And we've got a freeze here on my screen. Might have to wait till this. Oh, there we go. And It's caught up. And again, I'm listening to the analysts here on the TV, and they're saying the same thing. And Terry Bradshaw just said it. Running the damn football. No, it's a passing league. But when you get to December, January, and the Super Bowl, if you can't run the football consistently and you can't stop the run, you're not going anywhere. Period. And if anybody thinks that Philadelphia is going to deviate from that formula, and in years past, Sirianni has done that during the regular season where he's gotten away from running the football and it's cost them. That ain't happening tonight. That is not happening tonight. Again, if you're in the Royersford Limerick area here in PA and the surrounding area, stop on in at Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist. We've got 4 or 5 people in here right now, including me. But again, listening to some of the analysis here, and I think Philadelphia fans would agree, just pound the rock. Keep number 15 for Kansas City on that sideline as much as you can. Limit his opportunities. I'm sure people are going to start bitching about the refs early. But we'll see. If you go to, some other statistics here, if you go through their seasons, even on the back end of Philly's schedule, which I really didn't do it because it's like a broken record. Again, when they played the Commanders on the back end of the season, Jalen Hurts got hurt. They had no problem with the Cowboys, and the Giants game was, iffy there for a while, but it's not like they could have improved their playoff seeding. But again, against the Packers, they turned the Packers over 4 times. They didn't turn over any. That was the difference in the game. And they ran the ball. When they played the Rams, again, Rams had opportunities to win that game. They didn't do it. It was in the snow. Turned the Rams over twice. They didn't turn it over any. And they ran the ball for 285 fucking yards. And when they played the Commanders, blowout city, they turned the Commanders over 4 times. 4 times. And they ran the ball for 229 yards. In the 3 playoff games, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles have not turned the ball over. And again, that would be an area of concern if you're a Chiefs fan, is that they're not beating themselves. They are not beating themselves. And the Chiefs sometimes are prone to turning the ball over. As they have this postseason. Against the Texans, they didn't turn it over. They still only won by 9. When they played the Bills, they turned it over once. It really almost cost them. But they were outrushed. And if you watch that game, the Bills got away from running the football for some odd reason. I don't know why. James Cook ran the ball 13 times for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns in the AFC Championship game. Allen ran 11 times for 39 yards. Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs, 17 for 64. And then Mahomes had the 2 rushing touchdowns. But James Cook, why is he only getting 13 carries, 13 touches? If you want to beat the Chiefs, you've got to be able to run the ball between 20 and 30 times a game. Control the clock. If you want another like stupid stat that's out there, the team who has won the white uniforms in the last 20 Super Bowls are 16-4. Now the Chiefs are in their white away uniforms, and the Eagles are in their home uniforms. That's just another stupid stat that's out there. As I relight my cigar. What do you guys think? The Eagles, they just stick to the game plan? They run the football. They've got to be able to run the football, obviously. But if Sirianni and Kellen Moore get away from running the football, I think Barkley carries the ball 25 times tonight. You have to. Yeah. Yeah. And they're all in agreement. Again, you got to run a football. They've been obliterating teams, and there's nothing more demoralizing than putting together a 14-play, 85-yard drive, and the other team can't stop you. It's nothing more demoralizing for a defense than for the other team to run it down your throat, and you can't. They can't stop it. And look, the Chiefs the last 5 years, San Francisco was beating them in the fourth quarter in the first Super Bowl that they won. If it wasn't for a miraculous fourth quarter, they would have lost. Tampa Bay beat the shit out of them. The Eagles played them tough 2 years ago, and then last year, San Francisco again played them tough. It's not like Kansas City's like blowing anybody out in the Super Bowl. The Patriots didn't either. When Tom Brady won those 6 Super Bowls, they didn't blow anybody out. They had to come back against the Falcons. The Eagles played them tough the first time. The Carolina Panthers played the Patriots tough in the Super Bowl. So, it's not like, those 49er teams from the 80s were blowing people out. But the Cowboys teams in the 90s, they played a couple of tough Super Bowls. So, again, I'll beat the dead horse. If you go back and take a look at some of the games for the Eagles this year, when they went on that run, the string of wins that they had. When they played the Browns, they almost got themselves in trouble because Barkley only carried it 18 times for 47 yards. They only won it 20-16. Again, you can't deviate from the game plan. When they played the Giants during their win streak, Saquon carried it 17 times for 176 yards. Close to 20 touches. That's what he needs. When they beat the shit out of the Bengals and everybody thought that the Bengals were going to win that game, Saquon carried it 22 times for 108 yards. 18 to 25 touches. That's what he needs. When they played the Jaguars in that close game, Saquon ran it 27 times for 159 yards. It's not fucking rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. It is not rocket science. When they beat the shit out of the Cowboys, Saquon ran it 14 times for 66 yards. But They really didn't have to run it, to be honest with you, because the Cowboys sucked. But again, 14 carries for 66 yards, not conducive. But they really didn't have to do too much that game. When they beat the Commanders the first time, Saquon, 26 carries, 146, 2 touchdowns. Again, it's not rocket science. You can see the theme here. Again, I like passing offense as much as anybody, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, in December and January, going into the Super Bowl, if you cannot run the football, you're not going anywhere. When the Chiefs lost to the Bills in the regular season, the Chiefs ran it 17 times for 78 yards. Mahomes threw 2 picks. Again, this is not the best Kansas City team overall. They've had much better teams, but again, they found different ways to win. Against the Broncos when they won 16-14, they blocked the field goal. Buccaneers played them tough. The Bills beat them. The Panthers played them tough. The Raiders and the Chargers played them tough. Again, it's not like they're blowing teams out. Their most complete game of the year was when they beat the Steelers on the road. And that was to wrap up the 1 seed. It's almost 5:30 here on the East Coast. We are T-minus an hour, probably 15 minutes, I would say. They always say 6:35 is the kickoff time. It ain't gonna be 6:35. it'll probably until they go through other goddamn commercials and shit. It'll probably be kickoff at like 6:45. If you're watching live, if you come across the stream, I put the link up there. If you want to join the show, just click on the link. I'm just trying to look over more stats. Talks among yourselves. For you betting jabronis out there. I'm trying to throw out some like stats for you here. Not really finding any that are unique. Again, I threw the stat out before. Out of the last 20 Super Bowls, the team that has worn the away white is 16-4. If that means anything to anybody. There has been a massive amounts on money on the under, which is 49.5. Here's some other stats for you. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts will become the 4th pair of opposing quarterbacks to meet in multiple Super Bowls. joining Bradshaw, Staubach, Aikman, Kelly, and Eli Manning and Tom Brady. The winner of the first meeting has also won the second meeting in the previous 3 instances. The ridiculousness, the coin toss, heads or tails. Tails has come up 30 times in the previous 58 Super Bowls. The team that has scored last has won in 11 straight Super Bowls and 18 of the last 19. The exception being the Baltimore Ravens intentionally took a safety, if you remember, when they played San Francisco in Super Bowl 47.
Every season with these incredible Super Bowl expectations, if you want to be great, you got to be willing to do more, to go harder than everyone else in the biggest moments. That's what separates Patrick from everybody else. He's already one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. But tonight, he's got a chance to make
the past 3 Super Bowls have been decided by exactly 3 points. In the last 4 Super Bowls, the favorite has won in 3 against the spread.
Going for your 4th Super Bowl, there's a lot of people rooting against you. And I had that experience where we were like, everybody else, like, I'm just trying to do my job. And we went great.
Just looking for some other stats to throw out at you. Through 58 Super Bowls, the NFC and AFC are tied 29 and 29 apiece. The favorites have gone 37 and 20 straight up and 29, 24 and 2 against the spread. Again, for you betting jabronis, the over-under has gone 29 and 28 against the number. And these are just some of the ridiculous stats that are out there.
People used the term manage the game as a negative. I think it's the greatest compliment you give a quarterback. You're making decisions all the time. They trust you to make the right decision all the time.
The teams that rush for the most yards in the Super Bowl are 43 and 15 straight up. And they are 41, 14, and 3 against the spread. The Chiefs outrushed the 49ers last year, 130 to 110. Again, run the damn football. Now, the teams that average more passing yards per attempt in the NFL title game are 44 and 14 straight up and 37, 18, and 3 against the spread. Team that has had the fewer turnovers has lost just 8 times. Teams that win the time of possession battle are 39, 16, and 3 against the number. Teams that win all 4 categories are 26 and 0 straight up, 24, 1 and 1 against the number. In terms of scoring average, the average winning score is 30 points per game, with the average losing score being 16.5. Hence, I took the Eagles to win this game 31-17. 22 Super Bowl teams have failed to reach the 14-point mark. Their record is 1-21.
If there could be one word that could describe that feeling, if you get that job of conflict, I would just say
The team that is the better playoff seed is just 2-16-2 against the spread in the last 27 Super Bowls. The team with the better record going into the Super Bowl game is 30-20 straight up all time, but has lost 12 of the last 14 and is 1-16 against the number, ladies and gentlemen. There's all kinds of statistics out there. We are about an hour away from the bullshit pregame. Well, the pregame's been gone for probably since 6 o'clock this morning. I don't know how much you can beat the death of game, but network TV sure finds a way to do it. You can only dissect so much in a 10-hour period. Well, as per this game, some odds and trends. Teams that score first in the Super Bowl have won the game 64% of the time. Excuse me. Teams that get on the board first have won 37 of the 58 Super Bowls. Betting on the winner in the Super Bowl more often than not directly results in a cover against the spread. Teams that win the Super Bowl are 49-7-2 against the number. Nick Sirianni trends. Sirianni is 4-4 against the spread and 5-3 straight up as a head coach in the playoffs for his career. He is 7-10 against the spread and 6-11 straight up as a head coach when as an underdog in his career, regular season and the playoffs. Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni will be the fifth head coach rematch in a Super Bowl all time. The head coach that won the first meeting also won the second in all 4 previous instances. Andy Reid is 26-17-1 against the spread and 28-16 straight up as a head coach in all playoff games in his career. He's also 15-9-1 against the spread and 18-7 straight up as the Chiefs head coach in the playoffs. He is 16-14 against the spread and 21-9 straight up as a head coach when a favorite in the playoffs. He's 11-8 against the spread and 14-5 straight up as the Chiefs head coach when a favorite in the playoffs. Andy Reid's 4-1 against the spread and 3-2 straight up as a head coach in the Super Bowl. And he is 4-1 against the spread and straight up as a head coach versus the Eagles in his career, regular season and playoffs. The team that has allowed fewer points per game in the regular season has been on a tear in the playoffs. Teams that allowed fewer points per game during the regular season have won 8 of the last 9 Super Bowls and are 7-2 against the numbers. And again, like I said, teams that win time of possession cover and win the game. Again, you can only dissect the game so many ways.
Don't take it allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia type 2. Tell your doctor that you get a lump or swelling.
Kansas City overall is 9-10 against the number this year. Philly is 13-7 against the number. Chiefs are 4-2 against the spread in the Super Bowl. The Eagles are 2-2.
If you listen,
The over-under trends, Kansas City matchups have gone under 11 times in 19 games. Philadelphia matchups have gone under 11 times in 20 games.
which can cause dehydration and worsen kidney problems. Zepbound means change. Ask your doctor about Zepbound.
I mentioned about the previous times that the teams have played in New Orleans. The designated visitors in New Orleans Super Bowls are 7-3. In the last 23 Super Bowls, the favorites are 7-16 against the number. The favorites are 5-4-1 against the number in the New Orleans Super Bowl history. Favorites are 10-9-2 against the spread in closed-roof stadiums. Here's an idiotic stat for you. No team has lost to Kirk Cousins and have won the Super Bowl in the same season. Teams with the first round bye are 0-10 against the spread and 1-8 against opponents that played on Wild Card Weekend. The only team to do so was the Steelers back in 2009. The most popular prop bets. Patrick Mahomes plus 25 yards rushing. Harrison Butker to make 2+ field goals. Xavier Worthy with the most rushing and receiving yards combined. The first touchdown to be scored, Saquon Barkley, is plus 450. Patrick Mahomes for 225 yards passing plus is minus 236. Dallas Goedert, 40+ receiving yards, minus 237. Some of the big bets on DraftKings. February 14th of last year, a better put down $22,000 on Kansas City at plus 650 odds to win the Super Bowl. Payout $143,000. On May 5th, 2024, a better placed a $5,000 wager on the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,700 odds. Should the better win, he will pocket $85,000.
Are you kidding me? Who's calling these press conferences?
New DraftKings customers download the app and turn $5 to $200 instantly in bonus.
Just all kinds of prop bets out there. I saw a stat that this particular Super Bowl, betting-wise, bettors across the country, just domestically, $4.6 billion will be bet on the Super Bowl. Almost 5:45 here on the East Coast. We are T-minus probably about 50 minutes away from a potential kickoff. If you're looking to bet on this particular game, the Chiefs have won 18 straight as favorites. The Eagles are 9-3 against the number in their last 12 games. The Eagles are 10-2 against the spread as a playoff dog since 2001. Chiefs are 13-5 against the number in their last 18 non-conference games. The Eagles have lost 18 of the past 25 games as underdogs.
Switch to a turtle test. Let's do that. We'll beat your last test. First price. Now this
NFL MVPs to lose the Super Bowl: Kurt Warner in 2001, Rich Gannon in that debacle in 2002, Shaun Alexander in 2005, Tom Brady in 2007, Peyton Manning in 2009 and 2013, Cam Newton in 2015, Matt Ryan in 2016, and Tom Brady in 2007. Let's see.
The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, is the league's highest honor, recognizing an NFL player for its excellence on and off the field. Please welcome this year's nominee, who represent the best of the NFL.
In the last 14 or 15 Super Bowls, some other stuff to throw out at you here. Do teams score a touchdown on the opening drive in the Super Bowl? In the last 15, no, they don't. Not one team has scored a touchdown on the opening possession of a Super Bowl in the last 10 years.
Joined by the 2024 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Eric Armstead of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The team that scores the first touchdown
Thank you for this honor. I'm extremely
has won the Super Bowl 10 out of the last 11 times.
I would thanks to a lot of people, especially my family, my community in Sacramento, California, where I'm from, also the Jacksonville Jaguars. These men up here, these nominees represent what's best about our league. And
Just throwing the stats out here.
And we do the same. Thank you.
I will be here for another 13 minutes, and I'm going to wrap it up.
A special performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Performing in American Sign Language is actor and ASL music performer Otis Jones IV. To honor the 125th anniversary.
The AFC is 14-8 when the Super Bowl is played in February.
We welcome 125 youth choir members from the Greater New Orleans High School Chorale Collective, directed by Dr. Jeffrey Redding and Jessica Harvey. Please welcome Grammy Award.
The NFC in dome Super Bowls are 16-7. The AFC in Super Bowls, when broadcasted by Fox, they are 6-4 in the last 10. So again, we got about 12 minutes here, and then I wrap it up. So again, to try and recap here. Again, my heart's with the Chiefs, but the Eagles are the better team. Like I said, I'm predicting 31-20 or 31-17 Eagles. This just has a feel to me when, when Brady was with the Buccaneers and the Chiefs beat them in the regular season, and Tampa Bay found a groove later on in the year, and Kansas City wound up getting their ass kicked. And I have a feeling it's going to be sort of like that. It was 4 years ago against the Bucs. I'm not saying Barkley's going to rush for 200 yards, but I think he breaks the century mark. And again, the only way the Chiefs are going to win this football game, they have to win the turnover margin, and they've got to slow Barkley down somewhat. Because the Eagles are not going to change who they are. They're going to run the football. They're going to play defense. They are going to turn you over. They haven't turned it over once this postseason. They're going to control the clock. And, and some people have argued against it. Some people think that Kansas City will find a way in the end to win it. I don't see it. Again, if the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, the defense will have to step up for them. The Chiefs on that side of the football, the Chiefs defense will have to win this game. And they did last year. They shut the 49ers down. And the Chiefs did just enough offensively. But the Eagles, I just think, have too many weapons. And again, I've got about 9 minutes here. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, ladies and gentlemen. The 2024-2025 season comes to a close tonight, game-wise. So, I am in Eagles territory here in Limerick, PA. Goose's Monte Cristo Lounge and Tobacconist. Again, if you're in the area, Goose is going to stay open until the end of the game. I will be departing this particular establishment, and I will be heading somewhere else to watch the game. ESPN, 41 of the analysts have taken Kansas City to win. 26 have taken Philly. The Schwam, Chris Berman, has picked the Chiefs to win this game 27-24.
Switch your business to Red.com.
Just some other statistics for you, betting-wise. Travis Kelce's receiving yards overall has opened at 69.5. It has dropped to 59.5. Isaiah Pacheco's rushing yards over-under was 24.5. It has dropped to 19.5. Patrick Mahomes' longest rush opened at over-under 11.5 yards. This has now gone up to 13.5. Xavier Worther's receiving yards opened at over-under 49.5. It is now up to 59.5. Kansas City favored by a point. It opened up as a 1.5. So it's really not fluctuated much. Total right now is down by a point. It opened at 49.5. It's down to 48.5 over under. Excuse me. Money line, Eagles minus 101. As the internet is updating here. So you might see my screen freeze.
in one another. Reinforced here and here. The huddle is a metaphor for our history, for the power found in
Late in the day yesterday,
it's in the will to imagine flight.
the line had moved all the way to Philadelphia, Eagles -1, but it's now shifted back to the Chiefs -1. So there's a lot of money fluctuating back and forth.
In the heart to unite, embrace the difference. It's only a task to say, we will go there. It's in our collective spirit, not just in the highest times, but in the hardest, in the darkness, and the trouble, and struggle.
There was a bet that was placed on Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman Landon Dickerson to win the MVP. It was a $10 wager. His MVP odds are 1,001.
Sure, the huddle was just a rough circle, a simple oval, a crowd of 11, or a country of more than 300 million on the field.
There was a Vegas bookmaker that predicts right before the game starts that the Eagles will go off as the favorite.
It's the place where we meet, eye to eye, shoulder to shoulder. In that space, we are the same. Bound by the promise and driven by the pledge to chase the prize.
And again, the things that have attracted the most money, Dallas Goddard's over under receiving yards are 49.5. Xavier Worthy under 5.5 receptions. Patrick Mahomes over 5.5 rushing attempts. Mahomes 200 plus passing yards, and Barkley under 124 yards rushing.
Isn't that union at the core of this day? This glorious, chaotic, exasperating despair.
So again, it's 3 minutes to 6. I'm going to sign off a little early. Again, I am not going to deviate. My heart is with the Chiefs. Eagles are the better team. A lot of people are saying this game is going to be close. I don't think so. I get Kansas City gets boat raced. Eagles 31, Chiefs 17. With all that being said, again, still here at Goose's Monte Crystal Lounge and Tobacconist. Stop on down, enjoy a fine cigar, bring your own beverages to drink. You will be here till close. I want to thank everybody that tunes in live. If you want to watch the replay, you can tune in. I'm Ryan F. I will see everybody tomorrow on eating sports buffet with the Ginch. That will be at 7 o'clock. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. Football almost over.